going to go through A.8 and A.11. So predicting the element formula based on other formulas that are known. And then this one is like an atomic pattern table. You guys have already done something similar to this. It does have a couple of more pieces than the one you did before. So this should somewhat be review, but we're going over it again because we've moved on to from water, we're on to periodic table, and there are some things that we go over twice because it applies to the new chapter as well. So the first one is done for you as an example, but I'm going to go through and do a couple of these for you as well. So I'm going to do zinc number 2. So zinc is right here on the periodic table. So first thing you have to do is find these on the periodic table. The symbol is Zn, so the symbol is the letters. The atomic number, that's the whole number. For zinc, it's 30. The mass number is protons plus neutrons. So I don't have either of those, well, I have the neutrons, but I don't have the protons yet, so I need to skip mass number. Protons is a 30, right, the same as the atomic number. Neutrons is there for me, and these are all atoms, so I'll have 30 electrons as well. Protons and electrons should equal each other. So now I can take my protons and my neutrons and add them together to get my mass number, so that gives me 61. I'm going to do another example, so I'm looking for symbol K. K is right here on the periodic table. It's potassium. Potassium. Atomic number is 19. They gave me the mass number. Protons is 19. I don't know the neutron number. And then electrons is 19 because this is an atom where protons equal electrons. So to get my number of neutrons, I basically need to rearrange the equation, right? If I have mass number equals protons plus neutrons, and I want to get neutrons by itself, I'm going to subtract protons from each side. So it's just rearranging the equation. Mass number minus protons equals neutrons. So 42 minus 19 is 22? No, 23. Okay. So moving on to another example, number 4. So number 4, I was not given either the name or the symbol. I was given the atomic number. So I'm going to find number 22 on the periodic table. Here it is, Ti, titanium. Titanium. The mass number, I don't know, right? I have to add protons plus neutrons. My number of protons is 22. Therefore, my electrons is 22, and then my mass number will be protons 22 plus neutrons 27, which gives me 49. So I just want you to compare real quick. I had a mass number of 49 here. The average atomic mass on here says 47.88. That's because this is an average. It is not protons plus neutrons. This is an average of all titanium atoms that exist. And sometimes we have titanium atoms with 27 neutrons, sometimes we have it with 26 neutrons, sometimes with 25 neutrons. The neutrons do change, which is why we have averages. It is not the mass number. There should be no decimals here. These should all be whole numbers. Okay, I'm going to do one more, and then I'll move on to the next part. Oops, erase. There we go. Okay, so this next one, I have the mass number. I can't look anything up with the mass number. I have number of electrons, and since these I told you were atoms, protons and electrons equal each other, and then protons is also the atomic number. So I'm going to look up 51 on the periodic table, and it's right here, SB. SB is antimony. And the last thing I need to do is number of neutrons. So 122 minus 51 is going to give me my number of neutrons, which is 71, right? 50, yeah, 71. Great. Okay, so go ahead and finish that whole table. There is a bunch left, so make sure you get all of those done. I'm going to move on to the next little section, which was this. It was A11. It was predicting products. I suggest you pause the video here, go and do the table, and then you can come back to this video to do this portion, which is sort of the second half of the assignment, or you can just keep watching and hope you got it all in your head. Okay, so I have two elements here for number 1. I have silicon and oxygen. So I need to match these elements to known elements here. So these are the ones that I'm focusing on. So I'm going to start with silicon. Silicon is right here in my periodic table. So that means I want to find another one where it's in the same group. So I'm going to go first with my first element here, carbon. Is it in the same group as carbon? Yes. Then I'm going to go to oxygen, which is right there. And carbon dioxide also has oxygen. So Si, silicon, and oxygen are going to bind the same way carbon dioxide binds. So since I have 1 carbon for every 2 oxygen, the silicon and the oxygen, because they're in the same columns, are going to bond the same way. So I'm going to have SiO2 because there are 1 carbon to every 2 oxygens. Again, silicon and oxygen are in the same columns as carbon and oxygen, so they bond the same. All right, next one, I have Ba and S. So Ba is over here on the periodic table, so this column, and then S is right here, same column as oxygen. So I'm going to go ahead and match. So first, does Ba isn't in the same column as carbon? I'm going to do the first one here. And no, it's not, so I know it's not like that one. Then I have potassium. Is it in the same column as potassium? No, potassium is right there. So that can't be my element. Magnesium. Oh, magnesium is right here, so that's in the same one. S. Let's see if S is in the same column as oxygen. And here it is, right? We just learned that from the last one. S is in the same one as oxygen. So that means that Ba and S are going to bond the same way that magnesium and oxygen bond, in a 1-to-1 ratio. So my answer for number 2 is BAS. So essentially you're using these elements up top to identify what the formula would be based on what their ratio is. So I'm going to do one more. Let's do calcium and fluorine. So Ca and F. I'm going to use a different color here. Sorry, Ca and F. Okay. So Ca is right here on my periodic table, so I'm going to find something else that's in the same column. Carbon is not in the same column. Potassium is right here. It's not in the same column. Magnesium is right here. It is in the same column. So now I'm going to check the oxygen. Is oxygen in the same column as fluorine? No. So it's not that compound. Now I'm going to check the next one, calcium chloride. So calcium is obviously in the same group as calcium. And then chlorine, is it in the same group as fluorine? Yes, it's right there. So calcium and fluorine are going to combine the same way calcium and chloride does, in a 1-to-2 ratio. So 1 calcium for every 2 fluorine. Okay, so finish up the rest on your own. There's a few questions after that too. Make sure you guys get all those answered and let me know if you have any more questions.